Hello viewers, today's lesson is on the current status of early childhood care and education programs. Objective: the objective of this lesson is to understand the current status of early childhood education in India and to know about the current status of teacher training in early childhood care and education, and also to understand the needs and challenges in early childhood education programs. Module 1: Introduction. The earliest years of the child are critical. These years determine the child's survival and thriving in life and lay foundation for his or her learning and holistic development. It is during the early years that children develop the cognitive, physical, social and emotional skills that they need to succeed in life. These early years are largely determined by the supportive family and community care practices, proper nutrition, health care and learning opportunities, which in turn are dependent on enabling policies and investments in young children. The early childhood education positively impacts the attendance, retention and learning of the children in elementary and higher education. Now, let us have a look at the needs and challenges of early childhood education in India. In India, according to the census 2011 data, there are around 164.48 million children in the age group of 0 to 6 years. Recognizing the need to provide the quality pre-primary programs, a number of constitutional and policy provisions have been made, such as the 86th Constitutional Amendment, which includes the Article 21A on the right to free and compulsory education for the children in the age group of 6 to 14 years of age. Article 45 urges the state to provide early childhood care and education for all children until they complete the age of 6 years. The Right for Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act of 2010 guarantees children their right to quality elementary education. Early childhood education is not recognized as a compulsory provision by RTE, but RTE, that is the right to education, urges the state to provide free preschool education for children above 3 years of age. The 12th 5-year plan also acknowledges the importance of early childhood education and improving the school preparedness. The Government of India approved the National Early Education Care and Education Policy in 2013. The policy framework also includes the National Curriculum Framework and the Quality Standards for ECCE, that is Early Childhood Care and Education. The policy caters to all children under 6 years of age and commits to universal access to quality early childhood care and education. The Ministry of Women and Child Development, it is the nodal department for early childhood care and education. The department is responsible for the Integrated Child Developmental Services, that is the ICDS program, which is a centrally sponsored and the state administered early childhood care and education program, which covers around 38 million children through a network of almost 1.4 million Anganwadi centers. Anganwadi centers are looked after by the ICDS. ICDS includes the delivery of an integrated package of services like the supplementary nutrition, immunization, health checkup, preschool education, referral services and nutrition and health education. Early childhood care and education is one of the component and aims at the psychosocial development of the children and developing the school readiness in the children. Despite the recognition of importance of early childhood education by the Government of India, the challenges in implementation still remains. There are substantial number of children not enrolled still in preschools. Even in elementary education, while there is a significant rise in the enrollment, the dropout rate continues to be a matter of concern, with the dropout rate being highest in the first 2 grades of the elementary schooling. The learning assessment also shows that the literacy skills are poor in the early primary grades. This points to the urgency of helping the children, particularly from the first generation family, to develop adequate school readiness through a good quality early childhood education programs, so that we can enable them for smooth transition. This is about the need and importance of early childhood care and education. Now, let us look at the support for implementing the national level ECCE policy. Module 2, support for implementation of National Early Childhood Care and Education Policy. In collaboration with the Ministry of Women and Child Development Department, the support is being provided for implementation of the national policy framework. As a support to the national ECCE policy, a pictorial handbook on quality of ECCE was developed by the Ministry of Women and Child Welfare Department and also by UNICEF to unpack the quality standards. This handbook for practitioners in a bilingual document both in Hindi and English, which illustrates different aspects of the quality through which the real examples can be given from the field. UNICEF state offices have been involved in developing the state early childhood education curriculum and is being currently engaged in supporting the training and rollout of the state early childhood education curriculum. This includes the orientation and capacity building workshops, development of the learning materials and quality benchmarks. The UNICEF also provides the technical support for the capacity building in early grades in several states. In 2014, UNICEF staff and government counterparts participated in a forum on investing in young children and a panel discussion on neurosciences and early childhood development. These were excellent capacity enhancement opportunities and advocacy platform for increasing the investments in early childhood care and education. The Early Childhood Development Meeting, bringing together 6 countries in South Asia to discuss on the early childhood development priorities and programs. The events provided a major boost to the growing momentum on early childhood education, mostly in Southern Asian countries. After having looked through the national policy on early childhood education programs, let us now move forward and see what is the current status of teacher training and recruitment. Module 3, the current status of teacher training and recruitment. There is no legal framework that specifically says the requirements and standards for early childhood education teachers training program in India. Instead, various education channels provide different types of training. Some higher education institutions implement the nursery teacher training programs, which is a 2-year training program for preschool teachers, which is approved by the National Council for Teacher Education. Then we also have a diploma granted to the teachers who completed the NTTE program, is considered as an essential qualification for teaching in some public schools and also some government run preschools. There are also many online early childhood care and education teacher training programs offered by many online educational institutions. For example, in India we have the Indira Gandhi National Open University, which offers a 2-year diploma courses for those who completed the upper secondary education. The early childhood care and education teacher training course is also included in the curriculum for regular schools at the stage of upper secondary as a vocational education. The above training courses require a relatively longer time to complete, while the teacher training course offered at Anganwadi centers take only few weeks to get completed. Most of the teachers working at Anganwadi centers, NGOs and private preschools are those with little training or without any having teaching qualifications. Majority of these teachers are women due to the social norm that women are more capable of looking after the infants and toddlers. Now, we will see the establishment of legal frameworks of early childhood care and education and the future outlook. In 2010, the Indian government enacted the Right to Education Act in order to ensure the universal access to elementary education for all children. It clarifies that every child in the age group of 6 to 14 years, that is the stage of primary education, has a basic right to receive free elementary education, and the government has obligation to provide such education to these children. Although the children under the age group of 6 years outside the scope of the basic right to education, the RTE Right to Education Act directs that with a view to prepare the children above the age of 3 years for elementary education and to provide early childhood care and education for the children until they complete the age of 6 years. The government may make necessary arrangements for providing the preschool education for all the children. Currently, the government is working to set up 1-year ECCE courses for all the government schools. In addition to reflecting the political commitment for addressing the child's rights, the Ministry of Women and Child Development proposed in 2012 the National ECCE Policy and the National Early Childhood Education Curriculum and Quality Standards for Early Childhood Care and Education, so that it can improve the government stance on non-interference regarding the early childhood care and education. The policy describes the government initiatives for establishing the early childhood care and education legal frameworks, such as the establishment of National ECCE Council to be the apex body to guide and oversee the early childhood care and education programs, establishment of state level frameworks as well as the legal frameworks to implement any such policies. The formulation of license, registration system, the setup, management standards for the system, the strengthening of monitoring, research, evaluation and the teacher training facilities and functions. Furthermore, the Ministry of Women and Child Welfare, it provides the practical guidelines which includes the curriculum policies applicable to all early childhood care and education programs, the teaching methods, the materials and planning of education program for each developmental stage of the infants and the toddlers. Moving forward, we should carefully observe how early childhood care and education will change along with the government's efforts towards the development of early childhood care and education legal frameworks. Now, let us look at the challenges and gaps in early childhood care and education programs. Module 4, the gaps and challenges. Low awareness, clarity regarding the early childhood care and development in families and societies. The absence of policy, the curriculum and action framework at all the levels and the issues of access, diversity, standards, quality, the parental aspirations, commercializations, weak linkages with the family and community, the weak linkages of early childhood care and education resource centers and the learning centers, inadequate human resources, the professional courses, training and personal preparation, inadequate attention and investment in the early childhood development, the lower harmonization of the efforts, absence of comprehensive strategy, absence of allocation of roles and responsibilities, absence of the system of regulation and comprehensive child development legislation. These are all the gaps and challenges that are faced in early childhood education programs. At the national level, the Ministry of Women and Child Development, which is a nodal ministry for the care of preschool children, including the pre-primary education, constituted a core committee for preparing the early childhood framework and the policy. Some innovative initiations have also been undertaken by the non-government organizations. Towards a child-centric environment, a child-centered holistic approach, a comprehensive policy and curriculum which is an integrated multi-convergent service delivery mechanisms, a supportive, supervisional and effective continuous training for the community and parental awareness by creating an integrated system of care and educational practices with enabling and promoting supportive policies, legislations and affirmative actions will help for the early childhood care and education programs. The quality in ECCE, the quality standards, the specifications, the essentials and desirable interactions, the interactions between the teacher and child, between the child to child, the health of the child, the nutrition, personal care and routine, protective care and safety, the infrastructure facilities, the physical environment, the organization and management, the children experiences and learning opportunities, the assessment and outcome measures will all be covered under this national curriculum framework, which promotes the play-based experiential child-friendly provisions for the early childhood care and all-round development of the child. The child-friendly and developmentally appropriate play and learning material is required to ensure the basic quality inputs and outcomes across all the providers of early childhood care and education. Module 5, moving ahead and changing the paradigms. Since many of the current problems and issues in early childhood care and education are the outcomes of earlier policies and historical developments, any attempts to give our children a fair deal will require some major policy shifts before we can speak on implementing the curriculum reforms. Otherwise, the curricular changes will be meaningless and cannot be expected to alter the present system. The value of early childhood care and education and recognizing it as a part of the education for all. The first and the most important step is recognition and acceptance of early childhood care and education as a vital development need for all the children, and hence every child has a right to early childhood care and education of equitable quality. This seems like a demand in the light of the recent constitutional amendments that the child is the first time invested in our history. The aim is to make the early childhood care and education accepted as an integral part of the curriculum for all children and for it to be seen as a part of EFA, that is education for all. Resource allocation. The intention to provide early childhood care and education of equitable quality for all means that there will have been a vast enhancement in resource allocation. While the global research indicates that 85% of the child's core brain structure is already completed in early years, the trend indicates that actually spending per child on children below 6 years is almost 1/8 of the spending on the children in the age group of 6 to 14 years age group. Across all the states, it indicates a neglect on the foundation of the children in the functional years. This situation will have to be drastically alerted by mobilizing the resources from all the levels. Ensuring quality for all. The existence of multiple models, diverse sectors and different program approaches that developed over time must be recognized and accepted, but within a common core framework along with adherence to some basic norms and standards as well as adjustment to different realities and a meaningful policies. Justice and equity must be assured. Whether the program is run by the Department of Women and Child Welfare or by a NGO or by privately managed institutions, all must see that the basic norms and standards and adapt to the realities without sacrificing the policies. In this context, it is interesting to note that the child developmental specialists in India are already developing norms for evaluation of early childhood education programs and giving more weightage to the teacher-child interactions, transaction of the curriculum, human relationships rather than to the infrastructures, the buildings and elaborate equipment, so that those with greater economic wealth are not unduly favored. Advocacy to sensitize the public at every level, from parents to the policy makers, an extensive sustained campaign for advocating involving the mass media is needed. This requires the adequate resources to be provided and the government to take the lead, including the discipline based experts and experienced practitioners from outside the government sector to prepare the required material. These material should be in various forms, all designed to convey the significance of this period in the child's life and to warn against the dangers of neglect and to describe the scope, the purpose of early childhood care and education. This advocacy campaign should be propagated by the mass media, the folk media and through face-to-face contact by local field workers. The capacity building. The next important task to begin this right away with a massive long-term program of capacity building at all the levels. To begin with, this requires acceptance of the fact that there are several varieties of teachers or workers or the caregivers which need a recognition for their roles and confirmation for their status and appropriate rewards for their wages for their work. There must be a diversity of the course at 3 levels, that is the basic teacher or child care worker, the helper and a higher level of supervisor or a trainer and a head. Again, there must be not only a pre-service training courses for the new entrants to the profession, for which maximum salary levels at each level should be laid down, but also a variety of short or extended refresher courses for the vast number of existing untrained, especially in private sector, who may be having a long years of experience and even some skills, but lack the formal training. Most important is the capacity building at the planning level, administrative, monitoring and evaluation levels, not only for the officials, but also equally for the members of elected bodies and various civil societies. Responsibility for such capacity building programs should be shared across all the implementing agencies who are playing a significant coordinating role, building on existing capabilities and institutions wherever they exist. Convergence among all the ministries concerned with the young child, coordination among the various authorities already in existence and the others will be set up in the future, and the networking among the various academic institutions dealing with different aspects of the issue will be another essential responsibility. In addition, the attentions need to be paid on few of the key elements, like the development of reporting system leading to the database, starting with a simple enumeration and later registration, interfacing with the existing data gathering and national reporting and accounting system, setting up the necessary institutional mechanisms at every level coordinated by the appropriate agencies. Appropriate structures and institutions for research, monitoring and evaluation has to be set up at different levels and to be coordinated by the nodal agencies. So, today we have seen what are the current issues or the current status of early childhood care and education. We also have seen the national curriculum framework, which is adopting some policies for developing the quality of early childhood care and education. Hope you have understood the lesson. Thank you.